How not to miss America's beautiful scenic byways. Hey, Guy here. Welcome back to Amore Van. Today I want to share with you a little tip about making sure you don't miss America's beautiful scenic drives. When Roseanne and I travel, sometimes our stops are planned, sometimes our stops are unplanned. But one thing that's almost never planned is the exact route that we're taking between stops. So we might know we're going from one campground to another, but we haven't necessarily decided in advance how to get there. That'll often be dictated by timing. So if we need to move things along, we'll have to take an interstate. But whenever possible, we like to avoid the interstate. So today I'd like to share with you a trick that we use in order to be prepared for the unplanned scenic roadway. What do I mean by that? So if we're going from point A to point B and we don't necessarily have a route planned, but we have time to avoid the interstate, I want to be able to know where are the beautiful roads. And I don't necessarily want to have to do that research on the fly because I don't know whether I'm going to have a good internet connection or what. So I'll share with you how I've planned for the unplanned roadway. Even before we had our van and did our first trip, one of the things I did was to go on the internet and do a search for America's beautiful scenic roads. And there's all kinds of lists out there. You can find them yourself if you Google them. There's lists of the top 25 most beautiful roads in America. There are lists of the most beautiful roads in each state, and that's a list I suggest that you look for because you never know where you're going to be. And so I compiled those lists. So I knew where in each state there were roads that were beautiful that I wanted to drive down in the event that we had time. And then the next thing I did, armed with that list of roadways in each state, is I got out our large Rand McNally atlas. Now you're probably carrying an atlas anyway. If you're not, you should, because you can't count on having a signal all the time to use your GPS. So I got out our large Rand McNally atlas and I went through each state with my list of roadways and a yellow highlighter. And I highlighted in advance in each of the states where the roadways were that if we happened to be in the area and if we had time, we thought that would be a nice roadway to travel on. So for example, on the trip we're currently on, we had to traverse Nebraska all the way from east to west. And we had time to not do it on Route 80. So the day before we were going to be traveling through Nebraska, I got out the Rand McNally atlas that I had prepared, 2 years ago, right? And I opened up to the Nebraska page, which I'll show you here. And Roseanne, my trusty videographer, can zoom in here and you'll see some yellow markings. In particular, this yellow marking here, crossing Nebraska east to west or west to east, depending which way you're going. And I've made a little note in my atlas that says Outlaw Trail. And indeed, that is the Outlaw Trail scenic byway that crosses most of Nebraska. So instead of getting on the interstate, we got on this scenic byway and it was beautiful. But I didn't have to research it on the fly. All I had to do was say, hey, we're crossing Nebraska. Let me look at my map, see if there's anything I marked, and lo and behold, there was. So we found ourselves on this beautiful ride, right? So that's my tip today for planning for the unplanned scenic byway. Get out your map, mark it up in advance. You never know where you're gonna be, and it's nice to just be able to open your atlas and see where the beautiful roads are. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel by clicking on the Amore Van icon that just popped up on your screen. We'll see you next time.
We hope you found this helpful, and we'll see you next time here at Amore Van.